Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I wanted to talk to you about the expectations in OCD recovery. A lot of the times I find that the high expectation in OCD recovery can actually work against the process of recovery, in the sense that if you are working on OCD recovery, actively working on it, and you see that you took a step back, you start to get discouraged. And that discouragement creates negative feelings that you're showing your brain that this is not okay, I will never recover, oh, this is so bad. You start to really wind yourself up with those thoughts. And then everything starts to kind of go wrong from there. You need to understand from the get-go that OCD recovery is a process. Just like you didn't get here in one day, it's not going to take one day to recover. The point is that week to week, you should be seeing progress. You should be able to say, yes, this week I do feel better than the previous week. And that should be generally the trend. Day to day, it's really hard to gauge day to day because there's additional stress in your life. There's this and that happening. Some days are just generally more stressful. Some days you just gave in and did OCD reassurance compulsions. So it's kind of hard to gauge that. But week to week, you should be seeing progress, and definitely month to month, you should be seeing significant progress. I would say in any given month, you should be seeing 20 to 50% reduction in OCD symptoms. So in the level of anxiety, in how much less you are avoiding, or how much less reassurance you're doing. So I would say at least 20%, and at most probably 50%. And that's just being realistic. Unless you've had OCD for a very short period of time, I'm talking like a week or two, and then it will only take a few weeks to get better. But if you had OCD for over a year, then it's going to take a while to recover. So don't take it as an all or nothing thing that, oh, I failed today, that means I will never recover, it's all over. It's not really like that. I'm telling you, I've talked to people for 10 years about OCD recovery. Everybody kind of does the same thing. They take a few steps forward, then they take a step back. Then again, they take a few steps forward, then there's a setback. Setbacks are a natural part of OCD recovery. The most important thing is the ratio of how many setbacks versus how many successes you are having. And that's what we're calling, the week, right? So in week to week, you should be seeing progress, because out of the 7 days, most of those days should be a success. And I'm allowing some days to be a fail, but most of those days should be successful. And let's consider that they are, and if they are, then your brain should be adjusting accordingly as you go. That's exactly what I see in practice. And depending on how much the person is pushing, how many exposures they're doing, that really kind of makes the recovery faster or slower. So if you feel like, for example, okay, you had a setback, you gave in, well, try to push more today with exposures. Do more exposures than you normally would to undo some of the damage of yesterday. Kind of look at it like that, like kind of like a game. You took a step back, whatever, we're moving on, but we're moving on understanding what actually happened. Why did you take that? Where did the mistake happen? Were you stressed out and you started to analyze because you weren't kind of even thinking of what you were doing? You just started to analyze, you just all over the place. Were you too busy and it was just more convenient to just get it out of the way and to keep moving forward? What caused it? Was it the situation itself, the trigger itself was too much, it was too overwhelming, you couldn't cope? You have to see what it is and then make adjustments accordingly. So in the future, when you're faced with the same situation, you will react better. And that might mean reducing your stress levels or your workload. It might mean facing the trigger on purpose and refusing reaction. But you have to be careful that you don't face the trigger as a reassurance thing. You actually face the trigger from a position of, I don't care, I'm refusing reaction, I'm choosing to move on. Doing those kinds of things will help you recover, and it will make you recover in the fastest possible period. You literally just have to do it no matter what. That no matter what attitude, that no, moving forward, no, moving forward, all the time. Whatever OCD tells you, just refuse. I've never, in 10 years of helping people recover, I haven't seen anybody refuse and then be wrong, you know, and some catastrophic thing happens. It doesn't happen that way, you know. Yes, bad things can potentially happen to people, but, you know, they can happen to anybody. And I've never really seen anything catastrophic happen, even as a coincidence to OCD. But I'm sure they could, you know, but definitely I've never seen anything you know, from OCD that the person was afraid of and actually happened. So you're not in any danger, and no, you're not going to be the first one, and you're not going to make it into the Guinness World of Records with the OCD thing. So just look at it that it's just OCD lying to me again. So how many times am I going to allow OCD to lie to me before I put my foot down and say, enough is enough, I'm choosing to move on? How many times are you going to allow that? Try to look at the setbacks as just part of the recovery, you know. Sometimes you just are, most of the times what happens, it's either the stress, when I see setbacks with clients, right? It's either stress or just the trigger was more that a person was ready to handle in their specific stage of OCD recovery. It was just an overwhelming trigger. So of course they're not going to be able to, it's kind of like asking a person who is just kind of a, you know, does random a little bit of exercise here and there to run an Olympic style marathon, you know. They're just not there yet, you know. But little by little, daily training will get you there. And it's just doing that, you know, doing that no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how you feel, you know. Try not to put so much emphasis on how you feel. When you have OCD, you feel terrible. Everybody who has OCD feels terrible. It doesn't matter what the thought is, or what the theme trigger is. 10 out of 10 will feel like 10 out of 10 for every single person who's dealing with OCD. So try to look at it as, right now I feel terrible. This is a fact. There's nothing I can do about it because the brain is functioning on old programming, and I need to step over feeling terrible and still refuse compulsions so in the future the brain recovers, you know. Because if you just focus on how terrible you feel and how you need to seek relief immediately to feel better, you're going to be stuck in it. So you have to step over it and just look at it as part of the process, and it's a temporary situation. It will not always feel this bad, you know. And prepare that when you're doing a trigger, doing an exposure, that it will not feel well. You know, it will feel terrible. So if you're prepared for that hit, it's not going to hurt as much because you were prepared. You knew how it would feel from previous experience. So you would say, okay, feels bad. I know what it is, and I'm not buying it anymore. I hope you find my videos helpful. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe if you'd like to do the recovery program. As always, all of the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.